Hi everyone, Jennifer here. I had to do a follow-up video to the exercise clothes in restaurants commentary that I did as a bonus video this Thursday. I knew that it would spark a lot of conversation among people because people feel passionate for or against the subject, and so I was expecting a lot of commentary on it, and boy did we get that. There's hundreds of comments in YouTube, on the blog, on Facebook, and it's really great, I think, that people are actually talking about this because that's what I wanted in the first place. So I had to do this follow-up video. I couldn't just let it sit because we need to talk about this a little bit more. There was so much going around, and I wanted to read some of my favorite comments from the threads, and I also wanted to clarify a few things and talk about a few things. Okay, so for those of you who haven't seen the original video, I posted a video about how my family and I went to a nice fancy Sunday brunch, and we were shocked to see the people next to us wearing exercise clothes like tight spandex, leggings, sports bra tops, sneakers, messy hair. They had just come from a workout, and that they were sitting next to us in this nice restaurant and texting and using their cell phones the whole time. So it brought up a lot of issues. Number one, should we be dressing up for certain occasions or should we not? I obviously think that we should. Number two, is there a direct correlation between how we dress and how we behave? So for example, the people who didn't care how they were dressed were also the ones who were staring at their phones the whole time during the meal. Number three, does this matter and why does it matter? And we're going to be talking about that today. So thank you to everybody who respectfully shared their point of view. That was the majority of you. I was really proud that everybody was able to have this discussion without resorting to nastiness or ugliness. There were a few people who went crazy over this and called me names. I got threats. You know what? I'm not surprised, but I'm really happy that for the majority of people we were able to have a civil conversation about this. One of my favorite comments came from Terry Gigi, who I love. She has a YouTube channel, and I'll link it below. And she just said, it's really all about dressing for the occasion. And I couldn't have put it better myself. It's very simply put, and she's so right. It's just about the occasion. So for example, one time I did go hiking with my girlfriends, and after the hike we wanted to get lunch. Now we're not in a gym, there's no changing room, and we were in our hiking clothes. So we ended up choosing a very casual cafe that had an outdoor section, and we sat outdoors and we had a lovely lunch, and we weren't sort of out of place there. So that's choosing an appropriate establishment for how we were dressed and our state of being, right? After going hiking. After going hiking, we never would have said, oh, let's go to, I don't know, Wolfgang Puck's Spago, for example, right? Because I would feel really uncomfortable walking into Spago in my hiking boots and my yoga pants or whatever I was wearing when I was hiking. It's about dressing for the occasion. If you go to a nice restaurant, I believe that you should just dress appropriately. It doesn't mean you're in a ball gown, it just means that you are looking presentable. And why am I passionate about this? I am passionate because, first of all, nobody's talking about this. I don't know anyone who is discussing this right now, and people are probably afraid to talk about it because they don't want to be attacked or called names like I was. Now, I realize that that is just our modern world that we live in, and that's how people behave these days. But I think that it is so important to bring this up. And why? Why? Because I have children. I have 2 daughters, and one day they are going to have children. And I don't want them to live in a world where people do not care about tradition, about how they present themselves, about special occasions, because that is so sad. We as humans, we are given this life, and it's such an amazing thing. And our lives are marked by special occasions and milestones and celebrations. And I think it's so important as a form of respect and dignity to mark those celebrations. So, for example, my example of a nice restaurant or going out to eat is very low on the scale, but there's also things like weddings or graduations or going to the theater, plays, things that you'll remember for a really long time. I believe that these are all occasions where we should dress up. So I feel really compelled to talk about this subject. I have to talk about it because nobody is talking about it. I need to start a dialogue about this. So one commenter wrote that Madame Chic would never have called somebody out for wearing their exercise clothes in a restaurant like I did. So here I am to actually correct you on that, because if you remember, if you've actually read my books, Lessons from Madame Chic, At Home with Madame Chic, Madame Chic was very blunt and she was very bold, and she called me out immediately when I had bad behavior or if I was committing some etiquette faux pas or whatever it was. Of course she was polite and she had manners, but she had no trouble telling me if I was doing something wrong. So if I had ever come to the dinner table in my exercise clothes when I was living with Madame Chic, she would have said something to me. If she ever went to a restaurant and people were dining in their exercise clothes, believe me, she would have talked to me about it the next morning at breakfast. So for people who had the idea that, Madame Chic was just, never said anything, that's not true. She was blunt and she was bold, and I'm really glad she was, because I was so oblivious that if she hadn't called me out on, my behavior and what I was doing, I would never have noticed. And that's often the thing. We walk around in a fog and we only think about ourselves. So sometimes when someone brings something to our attention, that is what shocks us out of it. Here's an example. Do you remember the story about when Madame Chic told me that my sweater set didn't look good on me? I mean, talk about something really bold, right? She just straight out told me that I did not look good in the sweater set I was wearing. And I remember being completely shocked at the time. But she did that in order to help me. Now you can take it or you can leave it. I took it because I thought, this is constructive criticism and I admire her and I'm going to listen to what she has to say. So for those of you who are saying she wouldn't talk about this subject, oh, she would. She was such a stickler for standards and etiquette and proper behavior and proper dress that she's the one who got me passionate about it. So for the people who disagreed with me and think that it's okay to wear exercise clothes and rubber flip-flops or whatever you want, wherever you go, that it doesn't matter, my question to you is, when is it okay to dress up? Or when should people dress up? Should it be only if they want to? What about if they attend a wedding? Or what about if they go to a Broadway show? I have hundreds of comments from people, and there are so many people who said, I went to a wedding last month and someone was wearing ripped jeans and flip-flops. Or I work at the theater and I see patrons in Ugg boots and cut-off shorts all the time. I have a comment right here from Valerie D. And she said, Jennifer, I agree with everything you have stated here. I work in law enforcement and I honestly can't believe how people show up to the courthouse to go before the judge. Honestly, it is so disrespectful. PJs, slippers, pants hanging down to their underpants. Pants hanging down so their underpants show. It has gotten so bad the judge throws them out of the courtroom along with the speech on respect. What happened to common sense and respect? Thank you, Valerie. That is such a great comment. And you can even see the judge throws people out of the courtroom if they are not dressed properly. I got an email or a comment from Jacqueline T, who says, Hi Jennifer, this is such a huge issue I see every day. I work in a major theater in London's West End, and the number of people who come to see the show in their sneakers, leggings, and even Ugg boots, it happens more than I care to mention, is horrifying to me. Just the other day, a Japanese lady came in wearing a full kimono ensemble, and I had to comment on it because she looked so beautiful for the occasion. It doesn't take much effort to look presentable, and it fits the occasion when you do. And I did want to share this quote that was shared with us by Pammy, and it was by the actress Lupita Nyong'o, who is that beautiful actress who recently won the Academy Award. And she said, My mother taught me that one's presentation is an expression of how much one cares about oneself and those around us. And that is very well put. So, yes, I do believe that what we do affects other people. I do believe that it matters. I do believe that how we dress is very important. It's not to show off, it's not a style thing, it's about self-respect and dignity. Thank you so much for joining me on the discussion here. I'm posting this video a little bit early this week because I will see you on Tuesday for the launch of my third book, Polish Your Poise with Madame Chic. And this discussion is really perfect going into that because poise is a lot about how you present yourself to the world. So I will see you on Tuesday, and thank you very much. Have a great day. Bye.